Your kidneys are working away right this second, and they are doing something absolutely incredible. They're not just simple filters, no, they're these amazing, intelligent, self-regulating systems. So let's dive into the astonishing process that keeps our blood pristine.
First, let's just start with the number that is kind of hard to wrap your head around. Every single day, your two little kidneys filter about 180 liters of fluid from your blood. That's nearly 50 gallons. Think about that for a second.
So, the big question is, how on earth does your body pull off this massive job? I mean, how does it filter the equivalent of a full bathtub of fluid day in and day out with such incredible precision? Well, that is exactly what we are going to unpack.
All right, so the whole process kicks off with the very first and maybe the most important step in making urine. It's a process called glomerular filtration. This is where the magic really begins. Okay, so to really get a handle on this, we've got to talk about a key measurement, the glomerular filtration rate, or GFR for short. It's basically a report card for your kidneys, telling us how much fluid they're filtering per minute. For a healthy adult, that comes out to about 125 milliliters a minute, which, if you do the math, gets you to that unbelievable 180 liters a day.
Now, here's a really cool detail. The kidneys don't just filter every last drop of plasma that flows through them in one go. Nope. On any given pass, only about 20% of the plasma actually gets filtered out. We call this the filtration fraction. The other 80% just continues on its way. But because your blood is circulating so fast, everything ends up getting filtered over and over and over again all day long.
So how does this actually happen? What's the secret sauce here? Well, for that, we need to zoom in, way in, down to the microscopic level to see the incredible structure that makes all this high-volume, high-precision filtering possible.
You see, the filtration barrier isn't just one simple layer. It's this super sophisticated three-step security checkpoint. First, the fluid has to get through these tiny little pore holes in the capillary walls. Then, bam, it hits the basement membrane, which is like a super fine, electrically charged sieve. And for the grand finale, it has to squeeze through these tiny little slits created by these amazing, almost octopus-like cells called podocytes. It is an unbelievably effective gatekeeper.
And the result of this whole three-layer system? Just amazing selectivity. Small stuff like water, salt, glucose, they slip right through, no problem. But the big, important things like your red blood cells and crucial proteins like albumin, they are stopped cold, kept safely in your bloodstream right where they're supposed to be. But here is the truly brilliant part. It is not just about size. The basement membrane and those podocytes, they both have negative electrical charges. And guess what? A lot of the essential proteins in our blood, like albumin, are also negatively charged. So they're actively repelled by the filter. It's like trying to push the same ends of two magnets together. It's just this genius bit of natural engineering to make sure we don't lose the good stuff. Okay, so to push a bathtub's worth of fluid through this high-tech filter, you'd think you'd need some serious force, right? Well, you might be surprised. This entire massive operation is driven by a surprisingly delicate tug of war between some very simple physical pressures. Let's break down this tug of war. The main force, the big one right here, is the blood pressure pushing fluid out of the tiny capillaries. It's a pretty strong 60 millimeters of mercury, but there are two forces pushing back. This second bar here is the pressure from the fluid that's already in the capsule. And this third one is what we call colloid osmotic pressure. Just think of it as the proteins in your blood being thirsty and trying to pull water back in. Together, they're the opposition.
So you do the math, you've got 60 pushing out and a grand total of 50 pushing back in. The result? Get this. The net pressure that drives this entire massive, life-sustaining operation is just 10 millimeters of mercury. That is it. A whole bathtub of fluid filtered every single day, running on a pressure difference that's incredibly tiny. It is a masterclass in efficiency.
Okay, but hang on. If the whole system is running on such a delicate little pressure balance, that brings up a huge problem, right? Our blood pressure is not constant. It goes up and down all day. So how does the kidney possibly cope with that without the filtration rate just going completely haywire? Really think about it. Your blood pressure changes when you stand up, when you exercise, when you get stressed out. So what stops your filtration rate from just swinging wildly and throwing your whole body into chaos every time you get out of a chair? The answer is one of the kidney's most amazing tricks. It has a built-in system called autoregulation. It's basically the kidney's own little onboard computer. And you can see just how powerful it is right here. Look at how your main arterial pressure can swing all over the place, from as low as 80 all the way up to 170.
But that line for the GFR, it stays almost perfectly flat. The kidney is constantly adjusting itself to keep things stable, no matter what the rest of the body is up to.
And a huge part of this is this incredible mechanism called tubuloglomerular feedback. Just imagine these tiny little quality control inspectors, these special cells called the macula densa, and they're sitting downstream in the kidney. They're basically tasting the fluid that goes by. If they sense too much salt, which means things are moving too fast, they send a message back to the entrance saying, hey, tighten up. Too little salt, they signal it to relax. It is this perfectly local, real-time feedback loop that keeps the GFR just right.
But what happens in a real emergency? Sometimes the entire body needs to pull rank and take control. In moments of serious stress, the brain and our hormones can actually override the kidney's local autopilot. Let's take a look at how that works. Okay, so picture a red alert situation, like a major injury or serious dehydration. The body's fight or flight response kicks in. Your sympathetic nerves clamp down hard on the blood vessels leading to the kidneys. Now, why would they do that? Well, it's to deliberately cut down the GFR. The goal is to sacrifice filtration for a little while to save precious body fluid and send blood to your heart and brain instead. Hormones like angiotensin II also jump in, acting as this powerful defense to stop GFR from totally crashing if your blood pressure gets dangerously low. So yeah, the kidney is a brilliant self-manager, but it's also a total team player in a crisis.
So, when you put it all together, what you see is something pretty profound. The kidney is not just a passive sieve. It's not a coffee filter just mindlessly straining whatever you throw at it. It is an active, dynamic, incredibly intelligent organ that is constantly sensing, adjusting, and regulating a process that is absolutely essential for our survival.
And that really brings us to a final thought, doesn't it? This entire system is a flat-out marvel of biological engineering, and it's all running on this delicate balance of pressures and feedback loops. So knowing just how sophisticated and how vital it is, the real question becomes, what can we do in our own lives to better protect and preserve this incredible system for a lifetime of health?